My girlfriend leaned over and said, "Try not to embarrass me. These people are way above your level." I just smiled and replied, "I'll try." Moments later, as we walked into the meeting and the host warmly greeted me, her confident smirk vanished. The shock hit her instantly, and the color drained from her face. We were in the car, pulling up to this glass and steel building downtown, the kind with valet parking and a lobby that smells like money. My girlfriend glanced at me in the rearview mirror, adjusted her lipstick, and said, almost casually, "Try not to embarrass me. They're way above your level." She didn't say it jokingly. No smile. No wink. Just a statement. I laughed it off because that's what I always did. "I'll try," I said, half sarcastic, half used to it. For context, I'm Alex, 31M. She's Lauren, 29F. We've been together a little over 2 years. She works in marketing, very image-focused, very into circles and rooms you need to be in. I work in consulting, but I keep it vague because she likes to act like what I do is cute. Functional. Background noise. This meeting was apparently important. A private networking dinner with some of her mentors. I wasn't even supposed to come originally, but one of the guests canceled last minute, and suddenly I was useful as a +1. On the drive there, she corrected my posture. Told me not to talk about normal stuff. Warned me not to mention where I grew up because it came off small. When I asked what was safe to talk about, she sighed like I was already exhausting her. "Just listen more than you speak," she said. "And please don't make it about you." We walked inside, and I could feel her tense up beside me. Hand stiff in mine. Smile already rehearsed. The host stepped forward to greet us. He looked at Lauren first, then at me. And then his entire face changed. "Alex," he said, blinking. "Is that really you?" I saw Lauren's fingers tighten around my wrist. The color drained from her face so fast, it was almost impressive. She looked from him, to me, and back again. And for the first time since I'd known her, she didn't say a word. The host laughed, that warm, confident laugh people get when they're genuinely happy to see someone. He stepped closer and shook my hand with both of his. "Wow, I didn't expect to see you here," he said. "It's been, what, 5 years?" Lauren finally found her voice. You two know each other?" she asked, and there was a sharp edge to it, like she already didn't like the answer. "Know each other?" He chuckled. Alex practically saved my ass back then. I felt Lauren's hand slip out of mine. The lobby suddenly felt very quiet, even though there were people everywhere. I could hear the soft clink of glasses from inside the dining room, the low hum of moneyed conversations. Lauren stood stiff beside me, eyes darting between us like she was watching a script go off the rails. "Saved you," she repeated, forcing a laugh that didn't quite land. "That's dramatic." The host raised an eyebrow, still smiling. "Is it?" He turned to me. "You didn't tell her?" I shrugged. Didn't seem relevant. That was when Lauren shot me a look. Not confusion. Not curiosity. Annoyance. Like I'd just broken some unspoken rule. She leaned in close to my ear and whispered, through clenched teeth, "What is he talking about?" Before I could answer, the host gestured toward the private dining room. "Come on in. Everyone's already asking where I disappeared to. And Alex, seriously, it's good to see you standing on the right side of the table again." That last part made her flinch. We walked in, and I felt it immediately. Heads turning. Conversations pausing. People assessing. Lauren straightened her posture, plastered on her professional smile, but she kept glancing at me like I'd suddenly become unfamiliar furniture. As we sat down, she leaned over again. "Just so you know," she muttered, "this is not the place for whatever story you think you're about to tell." I looked at her and realized something strange. She wasn't worried about being embarrassed anymore. She was worried about losing control. Dinner started the way these things always do. Expensive wine. Overly precise descriptions of jobs that somehow never actually explained what anyone did. Lots of nodding. Lots of interesting and absolutely. Lauren slipped right into her element. She laughed a little too loudly at the right moments, touched my arm when she wanted to look like a united front, then subtly moved her chair an inch away when she didn't. Every time someone asked me a question, she'd jump in first, reframing it, sanding down anything that might sound unimpressive. "So Alex does consulting," she said at one point, smiling tightly. "Very technical stuff. Mostly back-end." I raised an eyebrow but didn't correct her. The host, Michael, noticed. I could tell. He kept glancing at me with this amused, knowing look, like he was watching a reveal happen in slow motion. Halfway through the first course, someone across the table asked, "So how did you two meet?" Lauren answered instantly. "Through friends. Very casual." Michael chuckled into his glass. That's not how I met Alex. Every head turned toward him. Lauren froze. Actually froze. Fork hovering midair. Oh, someone said. How did you meet? Michael leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. Alex was consulting for us during let's call it a sensitive transition. Big acquisition. High risk. A lot of egos in the room. I saw Lauren's jaw tighten. He was young, Michael continued. But he was the only one who told us the truth when everyone else was too scared to. That earned a few raised eyebrows. What truth? Someone asked. That we were about to lose 8 figures if we didn't kill the deal, Michael said casually. Board didn't want to hear it. Lawyers danced around it. Alex walked in, laid it out, and backed it with data none of us had bothered to look at. Lauren turned to me sharply. You never told me this. I shrugged again. You never asked. The table laughed softly, but Lauren didn't. Michael smiled at her, still polite. He saved the company a lot of money. And a few careers. There was a pause. Lauren forced a laugh. Well, he's very modest. But her voice had changed. For the first time that night, she wasn't managing the room. She was reacting to it. Lauren barely touched her food after that. She kept nodding at the right times, smiling when someone looked her way, but I could see the tension in her jaw. Every compliment that drifted in my direction landed on her like a small, personal insult. So, Alex, a woman across the table said, swirling her wine, are you still consulting independently? Before I could answer, Lauren cut in. He keeps busy. Nothing too crazy. Michael didn't miss a beat. Independent, yes. But selective. He turned us down twice after that deal. That earned a few quiet O's around the table. Lauren's smile twitched. You turned them down? I looked at her. Didn't fit my schedule. That wasn't the answer she wanted. She leaned closer, voice low and sharp. Since when do you turn down opportunities like this? Since I didn't need them, I replied, just as quietly. The rest of the table had moved on, but Lauren stayed stuck on that sentence. I could almost hear her recalculating everything she thought she knew about me. The way she used to explain me to her friends. The little jokes she made about me being comfortable instead of ambitious. Michael raised his glass. To Alex, one of the smartest people in the room who never feels the need to prove it. Glasses clinked. Lauren hesitated, then raised hers last. She didn't look at me. After that, the questions came faster. Not from her, to her. How long have you two been together? How did you convince him to come tonight? You must be proud. Each one chipped away at her carefully curated image. She'd brought me here to blend into the background. Instead, I was becoming context she hadn't prepared for. At one point, she excused herself to the restroom. When she came back, she didn't sit right away. She leaned down and whispered, furious and controlled. You made me look stupid. I met her eyes. Calm. I didn't say anything untrue. That's not the point, she snapped. You should have warned me. I watched her for a second and felt something shift, quiet, irreversible. About what? I asked. That I'm not who you pretend I am? She straightened, smile snapping back into place as someone looked our way. But her hand was shaking when she picked up her glass. And for the first time, I realized this dinner wasn't about networking anymore. It was about exposure. The rest of the dinner felt like slow pressure building under glass. Lauren stayed quiet after that, the way people do when they're trying not to crack in public. She nodded when spoken to, laughed half a beat too late, and kept her eyes anywhere but on me. Every now and then, I'd catch her staring at my hands like she was trying to reconcile them with whatever version of me she'd been carrying around. Michael, on the other hand, seemed to enjoy himself more by the minute. So what are you working on now? He asked me casually, like it was small talk. I took a sip of wine, mostly advising private clients. Some restructuring, some exits. Still turning down boards? He asked. Still allergic to meetings that could have been emails. That got a real laugh out of the table. Lauren exhaled sharply through her nose. One of the older guys leaned forward. You know, we've been trying to bring someone in with your background. Quiet operators are hard to find. Lauren perked up instantly. He's actually very loyal, she said quickly. Sometimes to a fault. I looked at her. Loyal to what? She blinked. To people. Commitments. Michael tilted his head. Funny. I always thought Alex was loyal to truth, even when it made people uncomfortable. The table went quiet again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was attentive. Lauren's fingers dug into her napkin. After dessert, people started standing, exchanging cards, making plans that would never actually happen. Lauren pulled me aside near the bar, her grip tight on my arm. Why didn't you ever tell me any of this? She demanded under her breath. I defended you. I made you sound smaller. I offered. Her eyes flashed. More relatable. I nodded slowly. You didn't want a partner. You wanted a prop. Her mouth opened, then closed. She glanced around, checking who might be watching. You're being dramatic, she hissed. This was supposed to be my night. I looked past her at Michael, who was deep in conversation, completely unconcerned. That was the moment it clicked. I wasn't invited here to stand beside her. I was invited to stay beneath her. And for the first time in a long while, I knew exactly how done I was. We didn't leave together. Not immediately. Lauren lingered, forcing smiles, making sure to say goodbye to the right people, laughing a little too brightly, as if nothing had gone wrong. I stood a few steps behind her, suddenly invisible again, but this time by choice. Michael caught my eye as people filtered out. You ever want to grab coffee? He said. No agenda, just talk. I nodded. I'd like that. Lauren heard it. I know she did. Her shoulders stiffened. The car ride home was silent for the first 10 minutes. No music. No small talk. Just the sound of tires on pavement and the quiet hum of the city at night. Finally, she broke. I don't understand why you let them think you're some kind of big deal. I glanced at her. I didn't let them think anything. She scoffed. You knew exactly what you were doing. I shook my head. No, you're the one who assumed I'd embarrass you. She slammed her hand lightly against the steering wheel. Because you never act like that. You downplay everything. You make me look like an idiot for believing you. That one landed differently. I didn't make you believe anything, I said. You believed what was convenient. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Oh, please, don't turn this into some moral lecture. You could have warned me. Warned you that I'm not beneath you? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, she said, you don't fit into my world the way I thought you did. I felt oddly calm hearing that. Like she'd finally said the honest part out loud. I was never trying to fit into your world, I replied. I thought we were building one together. She pulled into our driveway and cut the engine. The silence that followed was heavier than the one before. She stared straight ahead. So what? Now I'm the villain. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing rise up to defend us anymore. No, I said. You're just not the person I thought you were. She turned toward me, eyes flashing. You're overreacting. And that's when it happened. The moment everything ended for me. Not when she insulted me. Not at the dinner. Not even in the car. It was the certainty in her voice that she truly believed she'd done nothing wrong. I opened the door, stepped out, and said calmly, we'll talk tomorrow. But I already knew. There wasn't going to be a tomorrow for us. We didn't talk the next day, or the day after that. Lauren acted like silence was a strategy, like if she waited long enough, I'd come back apologizing for misreading things. That was always how it went. I'd smooth it over, make it easy, shrink myself back down to the version of me she was comfortable standing next to. But something in me had gone quiet instead. On the third day, she finally snapped. Cornered me in the kitchen while I was making coffee, arms crossed, tone sharp. So what? You're just punishing me now. I didn't look up. I'm just thinking. She rolled her eyes. About what? How I embarrassed you. That almost made me laugh. You didn't embarrass me, I said. You revealed yourself. Her face hardened. I was trying to protect my image. That's the problem, I replied. You were protecting yourself from me. She scoffed. You're acting like I committed some huge crime. No, I said calmly. You just showed me how you see me. She stepped closer. I see you as someone who should have told me the truth. I finally met her eyes. You never wanted the truth. You wanted me manageable. That hit. I could tell by the way her mouth tightened. You think you're better than me now? She snapped. I shook my head. No, I think I don't belong here anymore. She laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You're seriously going to throw this away over one dinner? I took a breath. It wasn't the dinner. It was the comment in the car. It was every time you corrected me. Every joke. Every warning not to embarrass you. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. You're being dramatic, she said again. That word sealed it. Because I realized then she would never understand what she'd done. And worse, she didn't want to. I set my coffee down, grabbed my keys, and said, I'm staying with a friend for a bit. Her confidence cracked for the first time. Wait, what? You can't just leave. I looked at her, calm, detached. I already did. You just didn't notice. And as I closed the door behind me, I didn't feel angry. I felt light. Staying at my friend's place gave me distance. Not space to miss her, space to see her. Lauren texted like nothing fundamental had changed. Logistics. Half apologies that weren't really apologies. I think we both said things. This feels blown out of proportion. We should talk like adults. What she never said was I'm sorry. On the fourth night, She asked to meet. Neutral ground. Coffee shop. Public enough to keep things contained. She arrived dressed like she was going to an interview. Perfect hair. Perfect makeup. Controlled expression. I realized then that this wasn't about us. It was about regaining footing. She didn't waste time. I've been thinking, she said, folding her hands. I might have underestimated you. And maybe you enjoyed proving a point. I waited. But, she continued, you also put me in an impossible position. You know how important perception is in my world. There it was. Again. You didn't trust me, I said. She frowned. I trusted you to not blindside me. I trusted you to respect me, I replied. We both lost. She leaned back, crossed her arms. So what? You want me to apologize for being ambitious? No, I said calmly. I wanted you to stop being ashamed of me. Her mouth opened, then closed. That's not fair, she said. I was protecting us. No, I corrected. You were protecting upward. I was disposable. Her eyes hardened. You're rewriting this to make me the villain. I felt that same quiet clarity I'd felt in the car days earlier. This isn't a rewrite, I said. It's just the first time I'm not editing it for you. She looked at me for a long moment, then said the thing she probably thought would bring me back. If you walk away now, she said softly, you're giving up on something that could be really good. I stood, picked up my jacket. No, I said, I'm giving up on being tolerated. She didn't follow me out. And for the first time, I didn't look back. I moved my things out a week later. Lauren wasn't there when I did it. She said she had meetings all day, which felt intentional. Like she wanted to avoid the awkwardness without having to acknowledge the finality of it. I packed quietly, efficiently. No dramatics. No lingering. It was strange how little there actually was once I separated what was mine from what was ours. Turns out we hadn't built much together at all. She texted while I was loading the last box into my car. I don't think you're making the right choice. I stared at the message longer than I needed to. Then I replied, I finally am. That night, she posted a carefully worded caption about outgrowing situations and choosing alignment. No mention of me, of course. Just vague enough to make people ask questions. Just flattering enough to make her the protagonist. Mutual friends reached out. Some curious. Some sympathetic. A few surprised. One message stood out. From someone who'd been at the dinner. Didn't realize who you were until after. For what it's worth, you handled yourself with a lot of class. I thanked them and closed the app. Weeks passed. The quiet didn't feel lonely. It felt honest. No corrections. No warnings. No shrinking. I ran into Michael again, by coincidence this time. We grabbed coffee. Talked about work, life, what comes next. At one point, he smiled and said, You seem lighter. I nodded. I stopped carrying something that wasn't mine. Lauren reached out one last time a month later. Just a sentence. I hope you find someone who fits you. I didn't reply, because for the first time, I already had. Myself. A few months later, I heard about her through someone else. Apparently, the dinner became a story. Not the one she wanted, but the one people remembered. The night she brought a boyfriend she clearly didn't understand. The night control slipped. The night the room recalibrated. I wasn't mentioned by name much. Just him, the quiet one. The one who surprised everyone. Lauren, from what I heard, kept climbing. New circles. New mentors. New captions. Same patterns. Always reaching up. Always careful about who stood beside her. We never spoke again. And honestly, that was the cleanest ending I could have hoped for. Because here's the thing I didn't realize until it was over. Love doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller so someone else can feel taller. It doesn't warn you not to embarrass it. It doesn't flinch when a room recognizes your worth. The moment she said, they're way above your level, she told me everything. It just took one dinner for me to finally listen. So yeah, Reddit. If you're reading this and wondering whether you're overreacting when someone treats you like an accessory instead of a partner, you're not. Pay attention to who needs you quiet. That's usually your...
But I've got the emotional maturity and kind of, experience of a 14-year-old. So it was a rough journey.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
It's, you were saying before how you used your career as you felt in control, and then the other 23 hours you'd be looking for ways to be in control.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that alcohol was an attempt for you to be in control?
Alcohol was something that I was using to make the uncomfortable thoughts and feelings
numb.
Well, yeah, I was trying to use it to turn it down. Mm-hmm. But it turned it down, but it never made it go away.
Yeah,
all right?
Bit of a Band-Aid.
Well, not even. It's never a big enough Band-Aid. Mm. And the drinking when I was out and about was nuts, but it's the drinking when I was home alone. That's the proper stuff, right? Because nobody needs to know what I'm doing by myself.